At the moment, we can't do a lot with the request that we get in our handler because all the fields in the request are private. That means that they cannot be accessed from outside of this module. To work around that, we have to add getters to the request. So let's create an implementation block for the request, and in it we will add getters for all the fields. The convention in Rust is to name the getter after the field without prefixing it with the get word. So to write a getter for the path, we will have a pubfn called path. It will take a reference to self and it will return a string slice. In here, all we have to do is to return a reference to self.path. And of course, we forgot about adding lifetimes, so we want to add the buff lifetime, and we also have to add it here. Okay, this getter was pretty simple. The one for the method will be no different. We create a method called method. It takes a reference to self, and it will return a reference to a method enum. In here, we just return a reference to self method. Okay, and it's only the query string left, but this one will be a bit trickier. So let's first define the method. It will be called query string. Again, it takes a reference to self, and now we have to decide what to return here. For everything else, we are returning a reference directly to the field in the struct. So that would mean that we want to return a reference to an option of a query string. And we can just return a reference to self query string. And this will work. But the callers of this function are not interested in the option. They are only interested in whatever the option wraps. So it would make more sense to return an option with a reference to the data inside of this option. To do that, there is a method on the option called sref. And if we look at the documentation for sref, it converts from a reference to an option of a t to an option of a reference to a t. So it does exactly what we want. And now we have to remove this reference from here and add it to the inner type. Implementing this method in this way is much more flexible because now we are not forced to hold a reference to an option. We can change the type that we store for the query string, and we can just wrap it in an option in the getter.